Music, slams, hams, and boner jams. God's gift to my left ear, but also to my other left ear. Hello, this is Dancin' Davey, David Wamjack.
And I'm Jivin' Jimley, Jerry Jarknart. And today, you are watching Top 10. Let's get in the groove, baby, and boogie down into it, man.
Music history goes back millennius to the Stone's Age, during the time of the caveman times. It all began with the rock trombone, a makeshift instrument of hardened stone designed to crush man's every bone. The caveman of this era would create auditory wonders by crashing large rock against the rewards of their hunter. This music is not often referenced in today modern media because scientists have decided it is kind of fucked up in a way. And thus, it has been stricken out of the histological tomes of history. In fact, the books claim that music began in the ancient Greece, but this is stupid and entirely fucked up.
After the Stone Ages came the Dark Ages, and these sucked total ass. Music stopped rockin' and started to be cockin'. Balls. This is actually why the Dark Age sucked and probably is the true cause of the Black Plague. However, the Black Plague was actually a pretty good thing when you think hard about it, because the Black Plague actually led directly and immediately into the second birth of true music, the Renaissance.
The Renaissance started in Italy with the birth of hit band Green, or more commonly known as Green Day. They actually chose their band name color because green is on the Italian flag. However, back in their times, they were simply known as Green and Green alone. No Day. Only in recent times have experts agreed on the historical importance of their foundationing. And so only recently have they dubbed this important time the Green Day. Many people will mistake the actual band name with the day named after them. These people are moron and lard scum. But I digress. The true importance of Green Day lies not in their name, but in their first and only song, Basket Case. This song inspired generations to come, with many surviving everyday activities crediting it as an inspiration and even naming themselves after it. Basketball, basket weaving, basket tearing, and baskets are all copies of this song, feeding off its success while never being able to surpass it. Stuck in a sort of basket case limbo of sorts. Again, I digress.
Basketball was originally created in the year 1892 by the creator Sir James Nesbron, a college instructoid in Springfield. I know that Springfield College is most likely a shitty school because I know that this James Fucker guy is a garbage licker who does nothing but copy off of Green all day. I do not recommend going to Springfield College unless you want to learn how to become a professional thief, bandit, or asshole phony bandit. I also do not recommend playing, watching, or supporting basketball as a sport by any means. If anything, you should try to be watching tennis. because tennis is more badass and would not copy the green any day.
I knew a guy who liked the b-ball. Told him he was a cock in the head just for watching. But he had cock in his ears. Hated the green, probably. He was a junkie for the jump shots. But I hated the hoops. So much like his dedication to the dribble, I bashed his balls. We could have avoided this. One-Eye the Reasonable, came with a compromiser. I pirated his pro b-ball and he turned it down like a total landlubber.
Did you know there was a pirate back in pirate times named One-Eye the Reasonable? It's true. He got his name because he met a man with no eyes, so he gave one of his own like the most reasonable pirate he was. It was his downfall, too. No pirate worth his booty should be reasonable. The instant another pirate splooshed upon his purpose, he compromised. Once that is lost to time, since the pirate prior slain him for his aforementioned booty. And that is why the booty's compromise is a term used to this day.
Speaking of compromised booties, I think that now marks the perfect transition point into a semi-similar musician, Kanye. A fine purveyor of zingers and fingers, this chump started his musical career at age of 9, after not one, but 2 horrible freak gun accidents. Let me lay the grounds for this story, similar to how Kanye lay the beat to his awesome. It was a dark and stormy night in Kentucky, hometown of Kanye, whom was formerly and originally known as Keith Ye, before he earned his Hollywood name. Keith was a smartly student of elementary, and he got pranked by his very brother, Other West, and his lock clarm was all wronged and screwed. He had awakened approximately 2 whole hours and 36 extra bonus minutes too late, narrowly missing his important test by 2 hours and 11 minutes by the time he arrived to Big School Building. Upon hearing this news, Keith shambled out of Big School Building in tears. What he didn't know is that he should have considered shambling out in fears, for upon lopping out the door, 2 gun bullets his chest now store. That is to say, that instead of taking his scholarly test, he took 2 in his ballerly chest. Keith did not survive this encounter, and so he no longer survived to become true Kanye, marking the #1 most important sad tragedy of music history thus far. Had he only taken this assessment, he may have lived to become an awesome Kanye Westman. This Kanye West story brings tears to my soul every time I read the damned thing, so I don't read the damned thing anymore. I only tell it to the other unsuspecting goons who are foolish enough to lend an ear, especially when I want them to cry.
Which leads me into the subject of the power of music over emotion. I actually have a bit of an anecdote for this subject, so just hear me out. 9 years ago, I begun listening to a powerful song and almost cried. I didn't, because I'm very manly and very unbreakable, but I almost considered it. The music was so strong, that fateful song. It was not dissimilar from the time I watched the movie Click, directed by Adam Sandler. However, this movie did make me cry because it was very manly and relates to struggle of man. The movie starts with a career man, Michael Newman, who treats his family like they are a crock of shit. He works very hard, but his boss is fucked in the head and doesn't even give him the damned promotion. Michael Sandler is pissed by this and releases his unrelenting rage upon the local Bed Bath & Beyond store, only to realize that there is a certified creep residing within its doors. This creep endows godly powers upon Sandler with his fantastical TV remote present, which causes Adam Sandler to ignore his family forever. In the next scene, Adam is an old fat man of 800 fat pounds, and it is very gross and disturbing. His family hates him, and he dies in the street. This is the grand finale of the film, because he is killed for his negligence. I cried here, and only here, nowhere else. And I only cried because it was very, very relatable. Adam Sandler plays a wonderful character that I can always put myself in the shoes of. This scene makes me think of me death, eventual, and how that might be sad too for me. Regardless, despite these, I thought the movie was profoundly good, and would deem it a pleasure to peep upon with my passing peeperinos. This movie is the shit.
However, some may argue that Click is shit. I agree. I prefer the more subtler movies of Adam, with my personal favorite being The Zohan, I think. The Zohan is a brilliant film, and, despite having great action scenes of cool, stands out most for its topical political commentary. The main moral? Why can't we just get along? The means? Hummus! It's actually insane. Actually.
Did you know hummus is actually created in the hummus factory through a process called composting? This means that the hummus you are eating is made out of crapified shit. Stop eating hummus. You are destroying your liver, and if you continue, you will not live very much longer. The hummus industry is truly the scummiest in the industry. They are the worse than tobacco and methamphetamines combined, because they still run their malicious and cruel advertisements all over my Zohan movie I'm watching, and that pisses me off too. If I ever meet John Hummus, creator guy of Hummus Product, I will have a hard talk with him, and if not end happily for his face, I will make him eat his own hummus. No, I'm done talking about hummus. This shit is pissing me off again. I have not had it anymore. I will not let John Hummus win over me like a bastard bitch boy. On the topic of John, I think it's a wonderful time to take a holy moly intermission and reflect on the wise words of John 3:16 from my biblical book. Crap. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, so that ever who believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. I think this Bible verse is profound, because when you think about it, he is really so true. Honestly, this reminds me of music I read each and every verse of the Bible in rap to make it cooler. Because when I'm reminded of Snoop Dogg rapper, not a big fan of Snoop Dogg, sadly, but I wish him no ill will. I simply like to remember him time to time because it double reminds me of Beavis and Butthead episode with Snoopy Gogg in it. That was a good episode, in my opinion, because it has a lot of funny jokes to me. Kinda like the Bible verse John 2 when he states, crap. Why did Jesus cross the road? And I laugh my ass off. I would tell you the punchline, but that would be a spoiler, and I really think you should read the Experience John's Bible for yourself.
And speaking of snooping dog, that reminds me of a story. Just yesterday, I was snooping through the streets of Detroit after getting lost on my way to the mart. I was stepping with my left foot, and I noticed my ass had been struck. I jolted around and found a snarling doggy bastard with a chunk of my jorts in their white foaming mouth. Motherfucker. I grabbed the nearest sledgehammer and bashed him brains violently. This made dog angry, as my bashing caused his gnashing, and we continued to battle gruesomely until we both ran out of breath. After a long, hard war, there was no true victor, only loss and suffering. We shook hands and decided never to fight again, and remained best friends ever since.
Since that last story was about violent, gruesome, and gruesomely violent war subjects, it reminded me of the War of 1812. I've yet to learn about the War of 1812 because famous YouTuber Dope Ted has not yet uploaded a facts video about it. Much like me and the old dog, however, I forgive them and will remain subscribed and bell notificationed on, in eager anticipation of said War of 1812 educational fact video. You probably Tuesday is the day they upload, and I look forward to every Tuesday with glee. I've marked each and every Tuesday on my calendar for the next 20 years. It's a lot of them. A whole lot.
A whole lot was what I was existing on 17 years ago, when I found something buried in the grime. It appeared to me to be a stick sticking from the rock of that empty lot, but it turned out to be a lot of crap. I was so pissed that no secret treasure was in that empty lot. I vowed to remember the date even to this date, even if it killed me.
Speaking of killed me, I nearly died rocking to Weeze's new Blue album. They have proven yet again to hold the gumption within, cementing the lads as the band of my ire. My favorite is River Cuomo, because his name is really fucking cool and reminds me of badass, unlike other rockers, my friend Jack. My friend is more of a band dumbass than a badass, but he keeps trying to convince me that Ace Frehley is a cooler name than Rivers Cuomo. Ace Frehley has no gumption, no class, is a psychopathic character, and is a sick and demented character. He bringo out my rage within, whereas Weezer is my true pleaser. This is why I only ever listen to Ace Frehley if I wish to go on a rampage through town of Tocantili, which I never do. While I listen to Rivers Cuomo whenever I seek a grand time and rock and brine. Rivers is always there for me, no matter what. Ace is a sniveling bastard who seeks only my downfall. I will not grant him this desire. He'll have to earn it from my cold, dead hands, which died rocking to Blue Album.
Much like Weezer Blue Album, the sky is also blue, if you look at it during the day's time. I looked at it all day once. It was truly beautiful. Beautiful like the mother of the mother of my ire. I banged her once and it was wonderful. It was exactly as many years old ago as old as you are. Got 'em.
You ever hear about goblins? I will concede that this is entirely unrelated, but it is a tangent that I felt must not go unsaid of. I've had many naysayer in my life, all homeless now probably, who have tried to tell me goblins are not real. They do not know of what they speak of. They haven't seen what I seen. They talk out of their collective ass like a collection of ass. They sicken me. God damn them. They are dastardly motherfuckers who wish to spread misinformation and spread rot worldwide.
All of which leads us back to music, in the form of Worldwide. You may know him as Mr. Worldwide, but me and him are close friends, and he told me that we are very tight, so I don't need to use the title anymore. Worldwide, my grand pal, wrote the song Hey Babe, and got instantly famous in an instant as a one-hit wonder. One time I hit him, and I was a wonder because I really hate that twisted man. I cannot believe that I had ever considered him my friend, my pal, or even my greatest amigo. I will not ever forgive him for what he did, and I will be sure to give him a piece of my mind if he ever picks up any of my calls. I don't really care, though. I don't want to talk to him or about that, because now I will be too busy talking about this.
Pit bulls are a breed of dog introduced to America in the year 16016, in the summertime. I know this because my great-grandpangus died at this age and once had his own pit bull of his own, which he owned in America alongside 3 acres of cropland. He would always use his real estate to create corn crop off the corn stalk. He was named Grandpop Cornelius, and he actually died in the year 1941 in the Civil War of North America country. He was a damned experienced war man with a heart of purple and mind of gold, fighting the motherfuckers below who wished to bring him down. He died a hero and got a monument in Nebraska, Kentucky, honoring his war death and war life. I liketh.
I liketh the World War better, though. Civil War is so dang boring, and it is pretentious asshole trash. Who cares who win war, when both side, same side? If America fight America, only America win. But also, America lose? This is the stupid. World War is cooler because in World War it is America versus the whole damn planet, and only one victor can claim the E. Plus, Civil War was old and gross, and most likely decrepit. Those loser soldiers of that era had to fight with stinky sticks and sickly stones, whereas cool modern World War soldier get to fight the gnarly gun and gnarly knife. If I was a soldier and I was in war, I would be pissed if I had to fight with stupid Stone Rock's weapon. I would much rather live in the here and now later, dueling to death with laser cannon and throwing tomahawk. Much cooler and much more effective on the enemy bastard. But I am a fan of world peace, so I would not do this, and would actually just choose to lobby against all wars forever, and put them to a stoply end.
Speaking of laser cannon, I had a grandpap unkie who, in fact, invented laser gun cannon just a couple weeks ago. He gave it to me because I'm the most trustworthy guy and most trustly in character. I made a solemn vow to his shiny, brazen head of bald. The next day, I took his sparkly new invention to Radio Shack and told them to empty the cash register. My encumbrance turned to be in wisely, as they had the anti-laser beam bucumberer with anti-bucolonizing my gleaming beamer. I was promptly arrested and thrown to jail like a measly henchfella.
Whilst in my time at the Toledo Correctional Institute jail, I met the most unlikelinest of characters. Shaquille O'Neal. He was throwing hoops in the basket yard like the bastard lard, reminiscing his time spent in Space Jam movie with the Bug Bunny. I did not find this much funny. I approached the crumbling asshole, and I informed him of his malice of his basket ways, and he agreed to part his ways with sport of basketball for the mayonnaise. I thought I may have bitten more than I could do, for getting that jar would be no easy feat. I contacted my hombre, Tyson, from outside my cell, and called in a favor of mayonnaise flavor. He was a sick fuck and told me he would not do it. No way. I was so angered by his lack of tact that I escaped into my institute and walked straight home to my home to pick up my laser cannon within. I then walked straight home to Tyson's home to threaten him with beefy lasered blast. He buckled like a bovine, ready to burst, and agreed to deliver the mayo upon day rise of next. I returned to my cellular location and awaited his vocation. He failed me not, and delivered the jovial jar pronto via mailman from Toronto. I lumbered on over to cell of shack, dodging correctional officers to and fro, each of which tried to taketh my mayo. But no! I successfully wandered into O'Neal's abode and graciously delivered his whitened goo. It was sufficest to say that he was enraged with joy. Not only did he deliver on his promise to never basket another ball, but he also revealed his secret identity of undercover cop? I was baffled and befuddled, and to my surprise he handed me the key to my engagement. I shoved the lock into lock of key of my lock, only to realize it was fake and all a joke? A prank? Let's just say there's a reason Shaq is a puddle of goo now, and the mayo returneth to me. Ever wonder why Shag never released no new albums to this day? Moral of the day? Don't mess with the worn one, or else you get the bitted.
Just the other day, actually, I had placed the big bid on online LEGO auction, Star Wars set. It was actually the Millennium Falcon, and it was actually $4, actually. I was in disbelief. $4? Crazy. I bought it, but some wacko loony placed his bid just 30 minutes before the sale ended. I was pissed, because I could not place a higher bid because I was out eating dinner at big fancy restaurant with my smoking hot wife woman. Female, not male. It would have been very rude to up and leave for the Millennium Falcon bid. And I don't mess with wacko loonies. So I let it slide, as I am very dignified man with a ton of respect within. However, if I ever meet that wacko loonass who stole my hard-earned starship from me, I will unleash my respect without reason. I tried to buy Millennium Falcon the other day, only to realize that it cost a lot of money. Like, more than $4. I'd rather spend my hard-earned cashes in lots of stashes on big investments and super cool man business stuff. Because I am a diligent, respected title businessman, a true Superman.
Superman? The superhero man? Pisses me off. He is very clearly clone of Spider-Man's superhero, but he refuses to admit it? I have read all of his comics and books, and watched all his movies and TV shows, and listened to all of his radio shows, and musics, and podcasts, and bought all his merchandiser, and it still pisses me off. Not once in all of this media does he admit that he is Spider-Man clone, even though it is so freaking obvious. Think about it, dumbass. Both are superpowers, super guy, super cool. Both name end with man, but also start with the S. What's up with that? Batman does not start with the S. So why start with Superman? Surely these freaks making the Superman know of this? This is some strange fuckery from within, and it is very, very annoying. They're both pretty good at their job. Why can't they just work together and make Spider-Man together? Not Superman, though, because Spider-Man is a much cooler hero with a better backstory and sequel movie.
Speaking of backstory, I think it's a righteous time to delve into my own. Tedthy Ted, backstory. It's time. It is only a fitting reward for a Ted fan like yourself who has come all this way. Well, I was born at the age of 1. One little baby I was, all alone in a cruel world that did not deserve me. My parents were stricken of running disease, where they throw me on ground and run, unable to stop. I sympathize with them. Forced to run from the coolest damn baby there ever was. Probably scared of my eventual growing up cooler than them. I would be too. It's at this moment of time a wild pack of the swine happened upon. They took me in like the gracious hog they was. Didn't take me long for me to overcome them. At measly age of 2, I had a brain blast, the one foretold. I turned the pig pen into Big Ben. That is to say, I was ruler of my hogs now. I took my porker patrol all across the earth and took over every boar, piggy, and pig, also, that encompassed the globe. All by my 3rd birthday, where I had hog birthday. This is why I am ruler of the swine now. After this, I grew up smart and cool enough to found Top 10 multinational educational and entertainment news organization. This is where I am today.
Did you know that dirt water, i.e. Water contaminated by dirt for good, makes up for 39% of your rain cycle and is also entirely non-soluble? As important as this is, it bores me and I wish no longer to speak of it. The floor is yours.
This brings me to the next revolutionary musician. Founded in Revolutionary Era. Post-World War. Death Grips, the most commonly known to me as the Grips, because I know them. What is so revolutionary about them other than their revolutionary founding during the Revolution? Their new and unique revolutionary take on music is a revolution to music, and in also of to itself. With their hit single, Guillotimer, they comment on atrocities of war and discrimination during the Revolution era. Lyrics such as, "Guillotine!" are in reference to the guillotine that was used to slice surrenderers, chop the children, and behead the bad guys one by one. Pretty fucked up. It also uses deep and meaningful lyrics such as, "Huh!" to add spice and liveliness. This is the only song I know. Nonetheless, it is of extreme historical significance, and if I were given only one word to describe the Grips, it would be revolutionary.
Not dissimilar to the revolutionary door at the mall I use. It's a marvel of engineering that never opens nor closes, only spins. And yet, despite this, it still functions. This perplexes me a ton. I actually had to use it when I went to the mall before making this very video. It was all entirely out of sporanges and other various fruit sponge, so I went to the food court and started asking around. Little did I know that food court shops cannot and should not be trusted with such important tasks, as not a single one of these motherfuckers had an orange to spare. This sucked, because I know damned well they had them at the smoothie shop, locked away within, but they would not share. They were a greedy hoarder, bastards of orange, and I was hankering for a law-breaking. So I vaulted the counter and snuck to the back. I had to tackle the worker and everything, but in the end I made it to the fridge of gloom. I swing it upon its hinge with the force of power, only to realize no orange. Only ice. Creamed ice. Milked cream and iced milk. It confused me for a moment until suddenly, realization. These fucking loons have mastered the art of magical transmutation, shifting measly ice crap into wonderful smoot blend. I called the police on them for messing with the laws of nature, but those creeps just dragged me out of the mall? They obviously are in on it, and have something to hide, but I don't care. Now I get my orange from the tree, like a man of the earth. Whatever.
What lever need I swack in order to stop this crazy train? This crazy train I am referring to, of course, would be the crazy train of Chief Flurry. It started with a coupled cake, transitioned to the thins, and ended in the loaf. But I didn't end there. The wheat could not compete with meat, so I made a few hams. Those hams made me damned. Had to bake meat cake. This I could not shake, so I birthed the steak. The desire to create drove me irate. Had to keep making, baking and shaking. Needed to cook, no matter what it took. So I settled on my magnus opum, my opular maglum. I decided to secure my place at the Furnace. Make a pizza pie and shove it in my face. Tried the pepperoni, didn't suffice. To quell the doom I tried the shrooms. Made the best damned mushy pie I ever try. But something had gone awry. So long slice at last made bread that I forged. Crustless pizza in my oven. Had no idea until mess was unleashed. Gooey red crap, spew oven within. I opened the door and it spew without. Sauce so boss that desire to cook I lost. Never baked a bread, served a steak or pizza to pie until the day I die. That shit didn't make me dribble.
Dribbling, particularly of the balls, originated in sport of soccer. Basketball copied the act like a sucker. They don't tell you this. They don't want you to know. But it is true. Soccer is better because soccer is original. My ball and net, 1 point I get. Those are the rules and only rules, making it also the simplemost sport to exist in modern era.
Did you know that soccer is called football in Europea? I think they are at Pia because this is stupid. Soccer is not football. Football is already football. Name can't be same, lest you wish to create chaos and mass destruction. Which yer the peons do. This is why I will never go to Europe, country, because I know the dwellers to be dastardly. If I was the president of the country, I would probably go to war with them and win. But I wouldn't do this because I am pacifist to the point of not even caring about this anymore.
On the other hand, I do care about the jump. After years of training, I've been able to increase my maximum vertical jump height to 14 foot 7 inches. And, of course, my speed to 99 mile hour. Bet you couldn't do as good as I can. Probably due to your lack of training. But that's okay. Find your own talents and improve those. Don't focus on beating others. I learned this by beating everyone at jump skills. Try to beat me and you will fall to those below. Probably upon the end of your jump.
That's actually another thing basket bastards copied. Jumpin'. I had it first, and they came and pried it from my jumpin' hands. That Air Jordan bastard deserves to be put 6 feet under Jordan, if you ask me. And don't even get me started on Leb James. I actually met him once. LeBronc. There was a huge music signing at my local Barnes and Nobles, and I pretended to be a fan. Waited 4 hours in the signature line, but it was all worth it in the end. You should have seen the look on his face when I called him LeBron Lames to his face, and he called security. I didn't even have his music, nor do I ever plan to. The joke is on him because even though I am no longer allowed in that store, now I will never have the chance to even give his music a chance. So that means it will always be shit. Funny, because I actually planned on giving it a listen before that point.
And to get to the point, this brings me back to the point of music. There comes a point where music becomes stale to my ear, like a chip of the ground. What to do when reached this point? I don't know. I haven't figured this out yet myself. I theorize a trick to preventize this, involving the iPod and the buckets of sludge. But every time I try to plan this plan to action, I permanently fuckify the pod with sludge and need to revise my theory.
My favorite theory has gotta be the theory of relativity, specifically the Albert one. Albert made this theory after sailing 14,902 oceans blue, and it's stellar. The theory states, relatively, something very cool. It states that space, time, and music are inextricably connected. This means that theoretically, the perfectly engineered song is capable of teleporting you to other spaces or previous times, or even future times. This means, relatively, the omnipotent tune could instantaneously teleport you to era of the cavemen. These primitive men guys of a bygone era may worship you as a god, or perhaps bash you with prunk, club, and or rock. The possibilities are endless, or at least they would be endless, if Eine de Stein knew a damn what he was talking about. I've listened to damn near every song by now in order to make this extensive history video. And to know what I've learned, Ein shit was a sack of dump. Not a single one of these songs was able to teleport me at all. I think, theoretically, he was a mothered fucker, and relatively a certified ape brainer. Next time he tries to tell me this lie in my land, I'll show him my backhand. That is to say, that I will slap him killed for this. To think that just this morning I was living the dream, expecting for Land of Dinosaur to be my reality. Goddamn Bader.
I was talking with my good friend, Larry the Cable Guy, actually this morning. And he told me a funny joke about the word baiter. The topic came up because we were discussing our favorite fishing spots and our tools of the fishy trade. He said, in all his cable-y wisdom, I hardly even know her. After I mentioned the baiter, of course. I cracked up for a few seconds. Then, I cracked his skull for talking about my woman wife that way. This is why Larry Cableman is no more.
Nomer was, coincidentally, also the name of my Simpsons OC I made a year ago. The joke was that he, kinda like Homer guy, but he was also Gnome. The reason I have abandoned this creation of mine as of today is because I have grown up and gotten bigger, smart, faster, wiser. No longer am I childish fan of The Simps. Now I watch the Fam Guy show much funnier than The Simpsons with better, faster, and wiser jokes within. Seth McBarton is a wisely scholar who deserves more recognition for this show that he currently gets. Regardless, this leaves me with a new problem. How the hell do I make the word gnome rhyme with the word eater? This is a major predicament, and I almost want to give up and stop trying. But I love gnomes too damn much to give up on the dream. Closest I've got is Nemer. But this is not good enough, and I will not settle until I have perfected this craft. Please, if you have any grand revelation to bestow upon leave a comment about Peter Gniffin. Names below the video. Make sure to leave them in secret, though. I would be extremely outraged if some poor sulking loser came through my comments and stole my character idea for Family Guy, unless that sulking loser happened to be McFarlane, in which case he would be free and encouraged to use the character in episode of his show for no cost, other than my name in his credits. Please, Mr. Seth, if you are out there listening, do this for me. I will owe you a solid, dude. And don't forget to leave that name in the comments of this video.
Solid, known as salad, if you're residing anywhere outside of Boston, is very green, lean, and tastes like ween. If you enjoy the taste of salad leaf, then you are a strange being, likely from outside our atmosphere. If a loved one enjoys the salad stew, please report them to any local paranormal and/or extraterrestrial alien authorities within your local communities. If all else fails, give them the shaft and blast their ass with a baseball bat bash.
Amen.
Their existence puts you and those around you in direct danger of life, and you should always be very afraid. But do not fret. Baseball bat plan never fails. 100% success rate all 3 times I tried it. And it can be 100% successful rated for you too. Fun fact. Police cannot arrest you if victim of crime was eating salad because there is no law stating that alien kill is unlawful. This argument failed me every time I used it with my lawyer. But perhaps you could be more luckily in your pursuit. Best of lucker, motherfucker.
Speaking of motherfucker, I think this is a good point in the video to remind you that I motherfuckered your... I figured you might have forgotten, so I just wanted to remind you, is all.
Oh, Paul was the name of my good childhood friend. He got the name for his ungodly vision powers. Swear he had the 20/20. He once spotted a blimp from 6 miles away in the air. I couldn't see it myself. I don't have those kind of skills. But he swore it was there, and I have no reason to doubt him. I actually have a pretty interesting story about this Paul. I was playing kickball. Just me and Paul, and on the ground he did sprawl. I thought he had died, but was just use his eyes. He called me forth upon the soil, and a little worm there do sit and toil. I stepped on it. Thought it might be funny, but it wasn't. I regret doing that to this very day. Still won at kickball, though.
I once kicked a man in his ball. Real enemy of mine, an absolute fiend. A ghoul, if you will. Should have heard the way he screamed, like a monkey in the goo. Slowly sinking to meet his demise at the bottom of the goo. That's besides the point. On top of the point was the reason why he received my shaft splitter in the first place. Man was rounding the corner and I round-hounded his rump. Wasn't even on purpose. He was just acting the fool, and I was acting none the wiser. Fate is a cool bastard, and I always come out on top, Ted.
Once met a ghoul. They tried to top the Ted. I proved fate to be against them with my baseball shaft. Moral of the story: don't mess with the wrong one. I'll take you apart brick by brick if I have to.
Which takes me back apart to the good old days apart of my band, Ted and the Tools. Named it that because other members were all tools. Never knew how to make a good song and never will. Locked them all up in the slammer. But they weren't as lucky as I. With my contact with Shaq, I made sure they'd never come back. I think one of them actually died in there, but I don't really care. Not my problem anymore. Shaq's.
Which brings me back to the Radio Shack. Some dumbass top-of-the-chain manager guy kicked me out when I tried to go the other day. Said I was no longer allowed? This made no sense, because there's no reason that I, the paying customer, would not be allowed to be in there. Right? Must have been a mistake, so I made up for it by mistakenly walking out the door and into the next store, which happened to be a strange store, full to brim of boxes and bins, without a light in mine of sight.
In spite of me, I once went on a grand adventure to the secret world of Atlantis. It was dangerous and cool. Many people don't know where Atlantis is located because they are poor navigators. But I am well oriented, and now, to be within the ocean, no. Upon arrival, I realized that it was kind of decrepit and lame. Not cool and gold like the stories foretold. Met a crab there, a man crab there. Named him Crabman. Strange creature with pincher of crab and body of crab. But soul of man. Damned underwater to have no way of speaking his mind like man could above. I tried to bring him with me when I left, but there was only room in the boat for one. So below he rots. I think of him often, and often hold remorse, but never too much, so as to hinder my performance. My performance in what, you may ask? My performance in life, I may answer. When you leave your world behind to quander the crab, you risk the rinse of wrath, the demisely death of all you hold nearly dear. For to focus on crab is to leave the rest behind, and enter an empty space of only room for crab and you. Leaving this space is not hard. It is done all the time by all who dare to dream of crabby gume. However, the longer you stay within the deeper entranced you are to become. I once danced the dance of death with crab of wicked proportions for an entire day. Barely managed to escape. Most wouldn't even last an hour. Don't put this theory to the test. Just take my word for it. If you try to replicate this study, it will most certainly be your undoing, and you will die of it. Guaranteed.
You know, there aren't a lot of guarantees in life. You should be happy I'm giving you this one. I once met a wisely sage by name of Saguel. Quite the saggy lad, always sulking in his slimes. One day he gave me a guarantee. He said, and I quote, "I guarantee this to you." This was in reference to the football team and their winning of the upcoming Mega Bowl. They lost, and Saguel was distraught. I had to deliver various soups to him all damned month. And he still never brightened up to this day. I fear the only way to rejuvenate the jackass is to make him win the bowl. Until that day, I deliver the soup, warm and on time.
Which leads me into the fact that it's probably time to wrap up. So I will wrap up by teaching the audience, you guy, now about the history of rap music genre. All about with famous musician Flippy Ding. He made it small and gets no recognition for this other than mine right now. After him, he was surpassed, and the beat-bustin' cream-croppin' deluge Eminem. He sang his song about his Not Afraid, and set the world ablaze with awesome. He later made a sequel where he kinda pissed me off by dissing my mother's spaghetti, so I vowed to never listen to him or remember his new histories ever again.
Again, I come to a standstill. I'm not sure whether to speak of the Beatles or Imagine Dragon next. I search deep into my soul, but I do not know. I have decided. I will not decide. But speak of Mariah Carey instead.
So, I think Mariah Carey is a musician, but honestly I don't really care. I more remember her for her role in the aforementioned Zohan movie. In this movie, she is thrown in the midst of a Zohan Phantom conflict of city scale. Phantom, of course, is a big fan of the Carey, and wishes for her autograph and to tell jokes in this scene. Zoham, being the good guy, wishes to stop this phantomly motherfucker dead in his tracks. Mariah, trapped in the middle, is a hacky sack fan too, performing her new album at the Hacky Sack Mega Center. I will not say anything to spoil this wonderful movie for the listeners, but I will just say that Zohan and Phantom team up in the end and Mariah Carey makes it out of live and it ends happy when this thing happens.
But that's enough said about Adam Sandler. Thank you very much. This video is about music, and I would be a true shit licker of a man if I failed to mention Bill and Ted 3, the music. This movie, through the power of Bill Ted, manages to find the song to end all songs, to unite the world and dance together. This song fucking sucks. They should have used a green song or something if they wanted to unite me. Instead, this movie makes me want to become a villain and destroy, which is never good to be or do. The grand reveal of Kid Cudi, however, put me back in my damn place and made me shit myself pant. I did full circle and run around and loved rock and roll.
Rock and roll started as a genre at the turn of the 21st century as LMFAO launched their first hit single, Sorry for Party Rocking. It was pretty good, but nobody liked it that much because nobody yet even knew what party rock and roll was. LMFAO realized the error of their ways, for they had released their songs out of order. They released Party Rock to explain, and everyone loved it. Quietly, they erased Sorry for Party Rock from logs of history, only to re-release it in ages later, to much better reception. This makes them, possibly, the best musicians ever, for their dedication and innovation.
You know, whenever I listen to my party rock, I have a good time. But sadly, I am now having a good out of time. I would love to cover Music Mans in the future again, but I probably won't, as I feel I have already encapsulated the musical mystery of musical history most excellently. I hope you have had a wonderful Tuesday, and may you also party on. Remember, if you are not a subscriber, to hit that big red, large red, big red man, big red subscribe button to know when the new video of Ted drops. Also remember that if you are not a bell button fella, to hit that notification bella on so that you can be notified when the new video drops. Again, triple remember to comment your favorite music down below to be notified when your opinion sucks. And always remember it, above all, have a musical Tuesday!
Yeah!
Woo!